It's Luke Howard live at lunchtime. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. What a wonderful applause. Thank you very much for that. Hello, good afternoon, not good morning, it's good morning. It's not. Afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the show. Hello, lovely to have your company on the show today. It really, really is. It's Tuesday the 12th of January and our second show into this week at lunchtime, and it's lovely to have your company at this very unusual time, of course. Lockdown's happened, everyone's at home, so I'm here to keep you entertained all the way through this lockdown between the time of 12:30 to 1:15, Monday to Friday, and then the usual show on Saturday mornings from 10 until 10:45. However you're listening today, hope you're listening in style, whether you're at home, if you're in the car, wherever you are at this very moment, if you're going out to get your essentials, whatever you're doing and however you are listening today, I really hope your day is going very well, and I hope you found something to do listening to the one and the only show, Luke Howard live at lunchtime. And it is very nice to have your company. So whoever you are listening today, hope you're having a lovely day, and I hope you are going very well. Even if you're working from home, are you working from home? However you are listening today, I really hope you're listening to the show in this very style, on this very miserable day once again. I mean, did you hear that rain overnight? Who had that rain overnight? I did. It was kept me up most of the night, that rain. So yeah, it was very rainy all night. I mean, I felt a bit, it was very rainy and it was very miserable, and I thought to myself, this isn't gonna keep me awake all night. So I fell back asleep again, and then I was alright in the end. But yeah, it was really rainy last night where I lived. I went outside in the garden and it was raining all evening. So whatever the weather's like where you are as well, I hope that's all alright as well. So lots to look forward to on the show today. We've got lots of things to talk about. We're talking about something very unusual today, something that I did a lot of yesterday, and that's hugging trees. Yes, I know it sounds strange. We're going to be talking about hugging trees in a little while. I'll get to all the stories about that later on in the show. I'll let you know about that. And yeah, I know, we're talking about some weird things. I know. We're talking about some weird things on this show, including hugging trees. So we are going to talk about hugging trees on this very show today. I know it sounds really funny, but yeah, so we are going to talk about that on the show in a little while. So do stay tuned for that. Right, okay, to get in touch with the show, you can text you can email the show. I do it every time. I do it every time. Gary J. Howard 68 at hotmail.com or 345457 at student.hrc.ac.uk, or you can find the show on Instagram. It's the Luke Howard fan page. That's all and hashtag Luke Howard live at lunchtime, and hashtag listen to Luke Howard live at lunchtime. Lots of great ways to get in touch with the show, as we do every single day. And however you do get in touch with the show, or you can just leave a message below where this show is being broadcast right this very moment. So if you leave a message below, I will get straight back to you and say that you've got a mention on the show, and then I'll mention you on the show. So it's as easy as that. Very easy ways to get in touch with the show. Very easy ways. So sit back and relax. Make yourselves a cup of tea, or make yourselves. I ain't even had my breakfast yet, but I'm gonna have my breakfast after I've done my show. So yeah. So sit back, enjoy, make yourself some breakfast, and enjoy Britain's brightest, best radio show. This fine, beautiful, a bit grotty, miserable day. And yeah, even if you're working from home and you're listening to the show, it is lovely to have your company as well. Right, okay, so are we going to talk a little bit about the news to get it out of the way, and then we can do our escape time where I play music and talk about everything else. And today we're talking about trees. So we'll get to hugging trees a little. Ooh, I know. Ooh. So we'll talk a little bit about that later on. But first, we have to do our COVID bulletin, where we talk a little bit about the rules on COVID. And today we're talking about lockdown rule breakers. They're more likely to be fined as COVID laws will be enforced more quickly. The UK's most senior police officer has said this, which is Cressida Dick. She said her officers have had to break up of parties in London's hospital hospitals. This was struggling to cope with rising patient numbers, but a minister was confirmed that her pledge that finding was increasingly likely. Now, Kit Malthouse said that people have a duty, they do have a duty, to make this lockdown the last one. They are all urging the small majority of people who aren't taking this seriously, they are people who aren't even taking it seriously at all, to do so right this very moment. They're all literalising to them, and that they do not, though that they are much more likely to get fined by the police. And Mr Malthouse, the policy minister, told BBC Breakfast this. This is what he said. These current measures should be, in a theory, if we are all stick to them, and be enough to drive the numbers down. There was a bulletin briefing last night, actually, that I completely missed, actually, but I will catch up on that later on today. The numbers is down, so they can all start to move through the gears of tears from mid-February, which is when my birthday is. Funny, my birthday's in mid-February, 10th of February. I know, we've got a special time, we've got a special show for that, I tell you. It asked if tighter restrictions were going to be on the way, and something the Health Secretary has refused to actually rule out. For God's sake, just get on with it, people. Get on with it. Mr Malthouse said ministers were on tenterhooks and watching the daily figures for COVID deaths, new cases and hospital admissions as rules continue to be kept under review. Now, for God's sake, why do they keep giving us bad news? Just give us bad news, even if it's once a month or something like that. Just let them give us bad news whenever they can. Why are they giving us bad news every day? It's just going to make people be even more depressed about it all. So if I was them, I wouldn't give us bad news every single day. I would actually give people bad news once a month, or once a week, or once every 3 weeks, or something like that. Even if it's one every 3 weeks. However they are going to give them bad news, they should give them bad news every 3 weeks, or something like that. That is what they should do. They should give them bad news as soon as they can. They can't keep giving them bad news every single day. They've got to do it either once a month or every 2 weeks. And that is exactly what I think about that. Now, the latest figures on Monday showed a further 529 people had died within 28 days of positive tests in the UK, while another 46,169 cases were also reported as well. There are also more than 32,000 people in hospitals in the UK with COVID data. Now, Dame Cressida Dick told BBC Radio 4's Today programme some 75 police officers are joining 185 firefighters in being trained to drive ambulances in the capital, as London hospitals are going to be struggling with soaring numbers all across this country. The numbers have been outstanding at this very moment. As I said on the show yesterday, the rates have been going up very, very high, and we've just got to stick to the rules and get told we have to do and what we can't do. Now, writing in the Times newspaper, she said her offices had found people hosting raves, house parties and basement gambling events. Why are people doing this? They know there's something going on out there. They've got to stop it. I mean, we spoke about this on the show the other day. They need to stop what they're doing. They cannot keep having parties all the time. They know what's going on in the world at the moment. There's a COVID rave out there. So why are they boasting parties? They shouldn't be doing it at all. They should not be doing it at all. It is preposterous to me that anyone could be aware of the duty to do all that they can do to stop the spread of this virus, and they said adding that people are breaking COVID laws were increasingly likely to face a lot of fines. Since March last year, some 32,000 penalties for breaching COVID laws have been issued in England and Wales, with a very sharp rise in penalties during England's November lockdown. I never felt like there was a November lockdown, really, but almost 6,500 penalty tickets were handed out over the weeks to Christmas, so the run up to Christmas, as the police began moving more quickly from the engage, and explained and encouraged the fourth enforcement. Now, expect the rate of fines to continue upwards during January, given the scale of the emergency and the pressure from government on conspiracies to enforce this very law that's going out at this very moment. But there is also, though, because there's tension there as well, police chiefs have told their officers that they will often have to use their own judgment because of a list of responsible excuses in the law of why someone can be outside if it is not fixed in this very stone. There is a lot of wriggle room in the law to allow daily lives to continue at this very time. Now, while ministers, scientists and health experts were all hammering home the message that people should stay at home as much as possible, the law is more liberal. For instance, there is no restrictions on exercise in England at all, because I've seen a lot of people out there not even doing exercises at all. So, as I said on the show yesterday, me and my friend, my mate, my best mate Michael, we went out and sat a social distance chat in the park the other day, and we was absolutely fine. We brought disinfectant, we disinfected everything after we finished, so we know what we were doing anyway. But in England, Wales and Northern Ireland, fines are going up to £200. It's going to keep going. It's going to be £1,000 soon, and it is going to be £10,000 as well. But Chris Dick told the Today programme they moved towards greater enforcement and was common sense rather than a show of democracy policy. She also said the Prime Minister Boris Johnson's cycle at East London at the weekend was not against the law, but added that these stay local rules on exercise for England could be made more clear. Now, under Scotland's lockdown restrictions, though, people must stay and finish their exercise in the same place, and to do so, they may travel up 5 miles on the very boundary of their local authority area. But people in Wales would start and finish exercising from their very own home. It's also asked, I've always done my show from home all the time, so I'm used to doing this show from home anyway, and I have been for years and years and years. But they also asked if she would like to see similar details in England. Do they think that's a good idea? The guidance, Dave Cressida-Dick said that it is certainly something that government could consider. Anything that brings greater clarity for officers and the public in general would be a good thing. Now, I think that is a good thing, really, to be honest with you. They've come up with a really good idea then, and I think that's a really good thing for them to do. Police chiefs have been under increasing pressure to enforce the lockdown laws, with a number of news reports about breaches of COVID rules in recent days. Now, officers have been stopping people and asking them where they have travelled from and to. Police have been doing it. Well, I've never seen the police stop people. I've never seen them stop them yet. But the police have been stopping people and asking them, where the heck are you going, sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? That's what they've been doing. But I haven't actually seen the police do it yet. I haven't even seen them do it. But I will see them one day. But in one case, 2 women, as I said, as we spoke about on the show yesterday, they were found £200 by the Derbyshire police. Just to recap on that, by the way, a little recap on that story. And after that, the incident gained widespread media attention. You never know. As I said on the show yesterday, there were just 2 women. They were just friends, but going on a socially distanced walk. They were allowed to do that. Why would the police stop them for doing that anyway? I don't know. I really don't know. It's not the right thing to do, really, if you ask me. But England is currently under a national lockdown. It's currently under a national lockdown, meaning that people have got to stay at home, and they cannot go out only for limited reasons, such as food shopping, exercise, or work, if they cannot do so from home. But similar lockdown measures are in place across much of Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland, which are in charge of making their own COVID restrictions. And I think we should leave that story there for now before it makes me go even madder. But it is a terrible story, and people have got to stay at home. Only go out if you need to. Now, I want to talk about retail on the show. We've spoken about retail on the show many, many times. Lots of retail shops are closing down. They're saying it's been the worst year for 25 years. 2020 was the worst year for a lot of retail. Food sales have been going with a growth rate of 5.4%. Non-food have been fell about 5%. The British Retail Association has said that it meant on an overall fail of 3% in a year dominated by COVID-19 impact, and the worst annual charge since the BRC began correlating the figures in 1995. But Christmas offered little cheer, with much of the high street still closed. But physical non-food stores, including all of non-essential retail, they all saw sales drop by a quarter of compared to 2019. That's what Helen Dickinson said, by the way, the BRC chief executive. Now, Christmas offered little respite of their retailers, as many shops were forced to shut during the peak trading period. And a 5.4% rose in the food sales, which was fuelled by shoppers flocking the supermarkets and online grocers to ensure there was stocked up during this very pandemic, and I knew a lot of them were stocked up anyway. But in December just gone, total retail sales increased by 1.8%, as all shoppers, they all spent more in the run-up to Christmas, like for nothing else before, because I guess they all closed down. But for like sales for the month were up 4.8%, as overall shop takings were still affected by restrictions and temporary closures as well. Online non-food sales have been jumped by 44.8% in December, according to the new